for staying with us. The program is this morning on ITV, broadcasting from the Darling Station, independent television located at the hilltop of Umpape Hills in the nation's capital city. My name is Iharoata. This all-important Monday morning, we've been looking at several issues, particularly the ones bordering on national security. The worrisome fact is the killings appears to be going on across the country. So much proliferation of light weapons and ammunition in what many describe as wrong hands here. Persons actually sniffing at life from many without regard to the existence of man. So much killing here. The painful one that happened yesterday was that of Ahmed Gulak, APC chieftain now, former political advisor to ex-president Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and former, some said controversial, national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, was killed yesterday in Imo State, with the police issuing some statement and the police coming back in the evening to say they've been able to actually cage some of the killers of Ahmed Gulak in heavy gun battle, which in their words was a successful operation against those armed, can we say bandit or armed group or militia groups here attacking government facilities in the southeastern parts of the country. Well, so much also was reported of farmers' herders clash in parts of Ebonyi, parts of Benue State, where many persons were actually killed. The problem is, what are we really doing? The killings needs to stop. Many say, look, peace is priceless. We can't go on with the killing over and over again and again. Once the killing continues unabated, then it is not worrisome here that we must do everything as a people united. The speeches, the conversation, the discourse, the interaction, everything must be centered around the need to improve the lives and living condition of Nigerians. But sadly, many persons appear to be going the contrary. The death toll is raging, increasing, biting, worrisome, disturbing here, and everyone is lot disturbed, is lot worried here that we can't run the country and we cannot run the country like this. Pathetically, that's what we found here, but everyone is saying, look, if we all speak and put ourselves together, we will be understanding that peace is certainly very, very priceless. That peace is priceless here. Okay, our guest will soon be in the studio. We'll be looking at the new Chief of Army Staff. We'll be looking at the interaction. What will they think when it comes to a goal and agenda setting for the new Army Chief who took over from the one that died in that very sadly ill-fated Kaduna crash. Very painful one here. A man was just barely 2 months plus in office here, dying in that crash alongside with his aides. Very painful here. But may their soul rest in peace while the country move on to battle insurgency and militia and other forms of insecurity. We'll take a break. When we come up on the break, the program will continue. Okay, thanks enough for staying with us. The program is still this morning on ITV. Last 2 weeks, we had what many describe as a very bitter disaster in the military, but some persons will always tell you that when you come to such, sometimes you may not be escaping that all the time. If it doesn't happen when it comes to the feed, well, it may happen somewhat out of health, it may happen out of whatever, but we can't question the Almighty. Our own Army Chief actually, died in that plane crash alongside very fine, beautiful officers here. They were laid to rest at the military cemetery along the airport road. It was a very painful one here, but as he speaks now, a new Army Chief has already been appointed, and he has since assumed duty. He came in from the theater command of those fighting Boko Haram in Borno State here, and you saw the video that trend when he was announced. There were military men that were so excited, hailing, praising him, commending him, and praying for him that he would go and finish his tenure and come back very happily. But there was so much conversation, so much question, so much issues around insecurity. What is he bringing to the fore? Now we'll be looking at the expectations from him and the areas he would be looking at. One of his senior is here with us.
I'm not his senior.
You're not senior. You're his junior.
Yeah.
I thought you were his senior. But you left before him.
Yeah.
Okay. We have with us Brigadier General S.K. Usman, retired Army National Publicity Secretary, the former one. We will be looking at. Welcome. My senior by age.
Well,
you were in the military before him?
Not exactly.
When?
I was commissioned much later than he was commissioned.
Okay, you retired earlier?
Yeah.
Age?
At the age of, because of length of service, because I went to university, okay. I joined as a young soldier. Okay. So when you calculate that, it will give you 35 years, yes. So I had to leave.
Okay, I thought you were his senior because you left earlier before him. But whatever way it is here, we have to push on now. Now, let's get your take here. Before we talk about him, let's look at the sad tale of what led to his coming in as the new army chief here. The painful path that the former army chief, Army General Tairu and others had to pay. What's your take?
Well, I have said it several times in so many fora that the death of General Tahiru, along with his chief of staff, the acting chief of military intelligence and the acting provost marshal, as well as the acting deputy director, finance, and his aide-de-camp, along with the pilots and the crew of that fateful flight. It was very, very shocking and saddening in the sense that apart from the fact that he was a chief of army staff, there were people that I've known personally, especially the acting provost marshal and the acting chief of military intelligence, who were more or less like a younger brother, and of course Major Hamza and Hayat. So personally, it was a very painful and devastating thing, but we take solace in the fact that death is inevitable on each and every one of us, and only God knows when, where, and how. And in the course of duty, they, passed away, and we keep on praying for the repose of their souls. It was really painful, and I've had cause also to directly work under General Tahiru when he was Director of Army Public Relations. I was Assistant Director and later Deputy Director. And of course, when I was Director of Army Public Relations, he was at one point General Officer commanding 82 Division, and then Commander Theater Commander Operation Life here at Dole then. So there was a level of personal torture relationship. So you can understand the feeling as it is. And I know I'm not alone. Every right-thinking Nigerian, not just their family, felt the pain, and of their passing away. But of course, just like I said, we cannot question the will of God. And we hope and pray that God will continue to give their soul eternal rest. Amen.
Okay, while we keep hoping and I pray now, we got a new army chief on the block here. Before that, we will start with the conversation here. We know we saw a report with some group of persons, some retired military officers, trying to say that they are demanding that the new army chief, after General Tairu passed on, should be from Course 35. And this one is from Course 37, if I'm getting it correctly. It was on the paper. I know you read that report very much here. And somewhat, that wasn't picked. And since then, there have been write-ups, conversation in the social media. What's the implication of leaving at Tairu's Course 35 and picking from Course 37?
And I wish you put name to those retired senior military officers.
Sometimes.
Yeah, so basically,
when they will tell you that they speak under anonymity, you don't know
the problem is that in the military, when you hear anonymity, they had a pejorative name for it. They call it animal letter, because it's an animal that will do that kind of thing without having the courage and effrontery to put his name.
But was the president bound to pick from Course 35? Just to
you see, the appointment of service chiefs, right from the Chief of Defense Staff up to the various services, is the prerogative of the President Commander-in-Chief. And in so doing, there are so many factors you have to consider. And in any case, what you have to understand, as of the time when General Tahir was appointed, even his coursemates were about leaving the army, but he pleaded that at least 2 of his coursemates should remain so that they can be able to work together. Major General Hanatu, Major General Mekobi. So beyond that, there is no anybody.
Why were they leaving the army? Why were they
well, you see, it is a tradition in the army that whenever you are, supposedly, subordinate was appointed at the helm of affair or coursemate, that there is need for you to leave. More so, there is this issue of restructuring and undeployability, that sometimes you become undeployable by virtue of the restructuring, because most of your juniors will come up at the helms of affairs and you cannot serve under them, except for some circumstances where some of them could be made to serve under the defense headquarters or tri-services, where they are not directly answerable to their supposedly subordinate while they were in academy. So basically these are the issues, and everybody has a right to his or her opinion, as the case may be, but beyond those formulations that people are saying, there are so many other reasons that need to be considered in the appointment of Chief of Army Staff, especially given the prevailing circumstances. One, this is the first time the Chief of Army Staff, apart from in 1968 when Colonel Joe Akahan died in a plane crash, that a Chief of Army Staff is not taking over from his predecessor. So you can understand the circumstances. And apart from that also, you look at the precarious security situation in the country, and especially in view of the fact that the present Chief of Army Staff is well experienced. Apart from being the theater commander who has a finger on the pulse of the operations, in particular in the northeast, Operation Lafia Dole, now to Operation Hadinkai. He had at one point been a brigade commander in the theater, because he was Commander 29 Task Force Brigade before. So he is well experienced, and it is not even surprising that the soldiers, knowing the kind of person he is and his antecedents, they were celebrating his appointment as such. So the president, in his own wisdom, I think he took the right decision by appointing Major General Farouk Yahaya as the Chief of Army Staff, based on his wealth of experience and ability to, lead the army or command the army at this point in time of our national history.
But now that we have picked from cost 37 against cost 35, as some, okay, let me not use the word now, in military, you don't question orders and authority here. What's the implication?
Yeah, there is nothing like implication. You see, the problem is that you kept on even mentioning cost 35. 35 is of the time when he was appointed. Last Thursday, there were only 2 of them in service, as I made mention of them, and the circumstances under which they were in service. I think what you should even be looking at are the immediate senior to cost 37, which is 36, bulk of whom I think they are 20-something in number that have to leave, based on the fact that, the issue of undeployability, because of the structuring and all the rest. And this is not the first time. Since time immemorial, it has always been so, given the fact that the military is noted for tradition, regimentation, and respect for, rules and orders like that. And if you look at what happened in the Nigerian Navy, Cost 36 was appointed Chief of Naval Staff, but the remaining, they left. So basically, it is not just peculiar to the Nigerian Army. And just like I told you again, if, in certain circumstances, some of them could be deployed into, the tri-services. And I know even among some of them, there are some of them that are not yet Major General. But by the end of this year, all the members of 36 course would have been spent 35 years in, 5 years at the rank of Major General, so they are due for Lieutenant General. And of course, given time immemorial, uh, except for a few instances on the recommendation of the Chief of Army Staff himself, there is always only one Lieutenant General at a point in time, except, of course, when in recent history, Lieutenant General Adeoshun was promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General while Lieutenant General Brate was still in service. And it's also happened during General Agwai when the then Commandant NDA was equally promoted at that rank. So basically, it's something that somehow it will still meet up with them, you know.
That means now that they are junior, let me use that word now, have been made the army chief.
In the academy.
It's just for them to start to gather their kaya to live.
Not exactly the way you put it. You know, the military profession is something that is that pride in self in dignity and respect.
Good.
So basically that is it. And I can tell you, as of 2 days ago, bulk of them, they even went personally to congratulate him at home. And of course, both of them are calling each other sir. And you can see the atmosphere of camaraderie. I mean, you know, esprit de corps and what have you. And that is the essence. So sometimes when I see some of these things in the social media, you tend to cry more than the briefed.
So we who are civilians, you won't blame us.
It is a thing of joy.
The military training you had and others made you very strong. But for we, from the civilian perspective, you will try to understand with us.
But this is democracy in which we are living under the civilian authority. So you ought to be stronger and give the desired leadership and sense of direction.
From what it is now, General Usman, you're not touching it directly. That means that they can't serve under their junior in their academy. That means that they would have to exit.
What I want you to understand, given the tradition and after due clearance and confirmation, there's most likelihood he will even be promoted Lieutenant General. So automatically, the basis of Gino and Sino does not even arise because this is a Lieutenant General, this is a Major General. I hope you understand. But of course,
I understand you
given the precedence and the tradition, that's the way it is. And what I want you to understand again, it is always a thing of joy and pride for you to have voluntarily, you know, joined the army, and today you have seen the day when you will also voluntarily leave the army. Because there are two ways of leaving the military or barracks anyway. You either leave horizontally or you leave, you live vertically.
Voluntarily or involuntarily.
Yeah, so horizontally like this, or you live vertically. So horizontally, you know what it means.
Correct.
Sometimes you may not even, just like those who are paid the sovereign price, they don't even know when they are leaving the barracks because their corpses are carried to the graveyard.
Live vertically.
So vertically, no. Horizontal is like this.
Horizontally, sorry.
Yeah, so vertically is like this. That means you are working with your two legs. And that is the most important things. So, you know, at a certain point in time, somebody has to lead the army. And the President Commander-in-Chief has decided whom he wants to lead the Nigerian army at this point in time. So it is not the way people tend to create.
The civilians tend to say, but the civilians are, is it true that you cannot, most times you don't salute your junior in the army?
You don't salute your junior. Rather, it is the custom and tradition that it is a point of duty for your junior to greet you every morning you meet by way of salute or sometimes pressing up and all the rest. And it is obligatory on you to also respond in so manner. If you fail to do that, the junior has the right to also ask you why you have not responded. So it's a kind of reciprocal, and that is what makes the military service very, very interesting and very, very adventurous. And to God be the glory, I think the military is one of the bastions of national unity in this country. To a large extent, it is one of the pivots around which the unity of this country revolves. So people should not be reading unnecessary meaning into some of these issues that have been, you know, part of the custom and traditions of the military over time. What they need is just the best wishes, encouragement and support so that they can continue to do the nation pride in wherever they found themselves, either within the service or outside the service.
Okay, now I will leave that. I try to push you to say the word we civilians use, that 44 generals to go.
No, but they are not up to that number. And I've just even told you. You see, that's the problem. That is the problem. I have mentioned it now. The remaining, basically those remaining 35th corps, they are just 2. And even 36 corps, they are 20-something. So where did you get 44? Unless maybe some of these people, they are just trying to just cause unnecessary mischief in there. Where did you get it?
Okay, if we got 2, we got 26. What about his own cosmates?
So, well, his own cosmates, how many are they?
But
there is every likelihood. There is every likelihood they will also be deployed in DHQ, and there is every likelihood he will be promoted lieutenant general. So at which point? And I've told you,
I mean, his cosmates will not go.
Yes, in these present circumstances, I know one of his cosmates that is a brigadier general. So what are you talking about? These are some of the things that people should, you put things in proper perspective, and people should do the extent of
shouldn't the army be speaking as you are speaking? Because for me, who had been a barrack boy, who grew up later to be in journalism, what we read and what we read, some details that we needed through history, through precedents and whatever you are giving me. Shouldn't the army spokesperson be telling us what you are telling us?
You see, information is on the basis of the need. I mean, what I want you to understand.
You are schooling us.
See, the
army spokesperson should school us the way you school
What I want you to understand, Atta, is that I came to this studio on the basis of an invitation.
Good.
Did you invite the army spokesman? No, you haven't. So you cannot. No,
yeah. But those days when you are the army spokesman, when you saw an issue,
I will give you an example. Yesterday, one of your colleagues called me, a female journalist, and she was asking question. And I took time off to explain to her, to the point that I had to ask my daughter to bring my Nigerian Army diary for the year 2021 and the Defense Headquarters diary 2021, because somebody directed her that they should just go and look for military diary. And I said, look, there is nothing called military diary. And I know that the military has a war diary, and I know that somebody was saying diary. I said, no, they have a unit Bible. So, but the various services have diaries as it is. It may contain information you are looking for. It may not contain the information you are looking for. But what is the issue or the bone of contention is the number of chiefs of army staff over time, from Everall to Yahya. So, by the time we go through, I think it started from page 8, 9, and 10, and I explained to her. So, the onus is on you to ask the question. If you ask the question and you are not given the information, and I told her again that you should have also checked the website of the Nigerian Army. The information you are looking for might be there. So basically that is the issue. All I'm trying to say is that reach out to these people, ask them the right question. Definitely they will oblige you.
But let me put you on the spot, sir.
Basically,
when you are the army spokesperson, there are many times you see something wrong. You issue statement to correct what our perceptions were.
Yeah, but
you just issue statement, you issue them, you correct us.
I kept on saying that command is a style. The way
you're defending the army as though you are still there.
No, but that
you're defending them the way you did throughout your period.
No. What I'm trying to say is that I made extensive use of so many, channels of communication. It beyond issuing of statement, the social media and personal contact and what have you. And I'm so grateful to you guys, because it served me in good stead while I was there, and it's still serving me. We maintain cordial relationship, and that is the essence of it. And people kept on learning on daily basis about such issues.
Okay, quickly let's move on now. The tax before the new army chief. The tax before the new army chief here. Where do you think he will be starting from now?
Well, I am not the army chief.
No, if you are to advise him, I know you have met him. He was close to you. You would have met him in his house. You would have talked to him. Let's get some pinch of what you told him when you met him.
Well, the long and short of it is that I'm so lucky and privileged that I have unfettered access to the hierarchy of the Nigerian military, not just the Nigerian army. If there are issues that need clarification or advice. So it is not for me to come to the studio and start saying what I have discussed or what I have not discussed with him. But the long and short of it is that I can assure you about one thing. Given his wealth of experience and given the fact that he has served in various parts, of the country and the Nigerian Army. Take, for instance, within the Army headquarters itself, he has had the privilege of serving, within 3 key departments. First, training and operation, which has now been split as Department of Training and Department of Operations. And the highest department, which is policy and plans, he also served there before his tenure as Director of Manpower at the Department of Administration. So invariably, he knows what the Army is all about, particularly in his last posting as Director of Manpower, because the bulk of it, the man behind the gun is the most important thing in the military, in the sense that, you have to administer and take care of the soldier to get the best out of him or her, as the case may be. So he is well informed about that, and now he has direct touch with them in the theater of operations, for quite some time. Apart from the fact that he had been a commanding officer, he had been a brigade commander, he had been also a garrison commander, he had been a chief of staff, and so many other staff appointments, as well in the process of molding, officers, because being a directing staff at the prestigious Armed Forces Command and Staff College, you see the bulk of future generations of the military officers, not just that of the Army, and you have a sense of, what you like the leadership of the military will be like. So he has all these things in his kitty, so he knows what to do at any given time, at any given point in time. Especially, he is quite aware there is so much expectations about him. More so, he is starting on more or less like, do I say, well, in the special circumstances, because I had mentioned it earlier that he is, in recent history, he's not taking over from somebody who could have been, phone call away from him. Now, the Chief of Army Staff is late. The Chief of Staff to the Chief of Army Staff is late. The Chief of Military Intelligence, which is key to any of the operational activities of the Nigerian Army, is also late. And you had the Provost Marshal also late. So, so you can understand. You can understand the circumstances under which he's taking the mantle of, he's taking over the mantle of leadership.
First step to be to build a strong army team.
Well, you may call it that. And apart from that, I think we live to see. Luckily enough, he has been making wide consultations, and he has been talking, he has been receiving briefs over the weekend, and was made to understand bulk of the co-commanders, those outside, are coming. So let's wait and see his address and his appointment. And so far, in the appointment of his personal staff, he has picked people of impeccable character, people that have wealth of experience and determination to work. So you can expect. I mean, you can expect a very, very robust leadership from General Yahya as Chief of Army Staff.
Now he has so many fronts to go with. We have the northeastern front, where he was appointed from. We have the northwestern front. The bandits are there. The southeastern front is not looking good. Militia groups, secessionists are there. The southwestern front may not be too bad. The south for now may be good. The north central is also, the bandits are still operating here. Where will you think he will be taking as top priority?
Well, I think each and everyone has his own priority. And remember, each of these operations has his own commander. Of course, the starting point, if I may say, maybe Operation Hadinkai, because he has left it. Definitely there should be.
Won't he be giving too much attention as it
No. What I want you to understand.
He was big from there. You saw the way they prayed for him, the way they sang for him, the excitement when he was announced. You could see, we saw it on social media here. They were so excited that, hey guy, they got from us here. Won't he be giving his baby too much attention?
No. What I want you to understand, I wish you have allowed me to land.
Go ahead.
I'm saying that he was a leader there. definitely the natural thing is to appoint somebody who will succeed him. Unlike other operations that have been harmonized and they have clear leadership. I hope you understand. So it is no question of attention. We are talking about appointment and all the rest, putting things in order so that you can commence work in earnest. So if we are thinking of that, you should know it. And more so, given the circumstances, you know, yes, banditry, kidnapping, secessional agitations, they are not as potent as terrorism and insurgency. You know, this is something that has been, has taken over a decade in this country, unlike the other security challenges. So you can understand the magnitude of the problem compared to others. I'm not saying that the others are not important. They are important enough. But basically, that should be it. And I believe, more so with the renewed vigor and sense of direction and doctrine of jointness, I believe his fellow service chiefs and the key officers that he will appoint, and those are the hems of affairs in the hierarchy of the military, will continue to support him and succeed, for him to succeed. And beyond that, there are two key components to ensure the success of it: the level at which the government or the authority give the desired support, and the Nigerian people. Because you see, wherever
is there support in what sense?
well, you see, every day you cannot get enough of everything, especially in terms of equipment, kitting, and sound administration and logistics. So basically, that is where the government come into play. And the Nigerian support is the fact that people have to understand that the military, they are doing that on behalf of the Nigerian society. So everybody has a role to play.
Now, but what about the issue of intelligence gathering?
Basically, it is the part of the public support. I had mentioned it earlier on. Let's look at even banditry, for instance. Bandits cannot just wake up and just go and abduct a person. Somebody must provide the information, and after that, somebody has to provide the hiding place and logistics for that. Then beyond that, again, somebody had to negotiate, because in most cases it is not the people that even abducts the victims that negotiate. Somebody does the negotiation, and what does he use? Means of communication such as the mobile telephone that you are holding. And so the other security agencies responsible for tracking and pinpointing the whereabouts of these people. Then of course I kept on saying, I just can't imagine how could an average kidnapper be moving about with a sum of 5 to 10 million naira in his haversack, or even 100,000. So somebody keeps it for him or invests it for him. And this is where the role of the Nigerian society and the other component of the security system comes into play. So it's a collective responsibility, just like I said. Everybody should bring what he should bring on board to ensure that we support each other, to ensure that we succeed in this fight against terrorism and insurgency, as well as myriads of security challenges bedeviling this country. So intelligence is key. How do you get the intelligence? Basically, you can use technology, you can also use human intelligence. So, but the human intelligence is key, because bulk of these people, right from terrorists, the bandits, the armed robbers, and other criminals, they are human beings. They have parents. They go to houses to sleep. They do not come from the sky. So people know about them. To what extent? People are, relating with the security agencies. I know there is this question that is begging for answer all the time. There were instances, you will be such a good Samaritan or good Nigerian to go and give the security agencies information, and suddenly the person, you will see him on the street. That is even the least case scenario. But sometimes they will even come back and attack you, or the people will tell you that in fact, it is so person that brought the information. So that's to a large extent had to do with the issue of training, professionalism. Those in the hems of affairs have to continue to be given the desired leadership in terms of training, and whatever resources they are given, they should utilize it effectively, in human development, so that these people who are tasked with this responsibility do their job dispassionately, so that others will also do their job.
But what about a strong interagency collaboration here, and also the issue of working closely not to overstretch the army? Because if you look at argument by some security personnel that the army appear to be overstretched in terms of internal security, that normally those days we don't see army so much on the street. They become more like we who grew up in the barracks sees them. But for those who are outside, there is this myth. But now we're seeing them too long on the street.
Well, the interagency collaboration, coordination, and cooperation, they are key to dealing with the security challenges in the country. But remember, I told you that the government has a role to play. To what extent have we invested in our security architecture, maybe within the last 5 or 10 years, given the fact that we are faced with security challenges? And remember, some of the security challenges could have been mitigated before they even escalate to this extent. I made mention of the fact that we have not been talking to ourselves. If we do, particularly, constructive engagement of the bulk of the Nigerian population, which is youth, they have abundant talent, energy that we tend not to make effective use of, abandon it. And of course, they said the devil, an idle mind is the devil workshop. So that is issue number one, employment opportunities and what have you. Then the second issue is the fact that the conflict resolutions mechanism in this country, there are time-tested, conflict resolution mechanism. To what extent have we been using it, at communal level, at professional grouping level? To what extent have we been interacting with these components of the Nigerian society? And to what extent have you stringent institutions and the local government system so that they will act as buffer zone? And to what extent have you stringent the security architecture, in particular, the Nigerian police, the Nigerian security and civil defense and others, so that they can be able to perform optimally to deal with these security challenges before you call in the military? And the earlier we go back to the drawing board and start doing all these things, the better. Because I know we have the capacity of, mitigating the security challenges, but we have to go back and enhance this aspect that I have told you about: recruitment, training, equipping, and enhancing collaboration and cooperation and coordination of the security agencies. And with that, you can be able to see that the military may not be seen as at, always, and in fact, we are even taking chances with our security in this country, because the military is deployed. Ideally, they should be concerned with external aggression, not internal security. But with the mechanism of dealing with internal security challenges, we have neglected the Nigerian police force, which is supposed to be the lead agency. To what extent have you invested in the policing system? And I kept on saying that there is no country that survives without an effective policing system. There are countries without military, but there is no country in this world without police. So the earlier we strengthen our policing system, the better. We need to recruit more, we need to train them, we need to equip them so that they can be performing this duty. And we have the option of either even creating another layer of security force, either the National Guard, to serve as a buffer between the military and the police in the event of, security challenges that are far beyond the policing system. But of course, the starting point now, we know that the mobile police force, where are they? Where are they?
After the NSAS, they attempt to relax.
No, before even the NSAS, have you been seeing them? So these are the issues. We had been saying over time, particularly at the Nigerian Administration Center.
Are they not doing too much of VIP deployment?
So, so you see,
from our observation, we tend to see them so much.
So basically, these are the issues. The solution, bulk of the solution, to a large extent, lies with our policing system. And the earlier we take a critical look at it and strengthen it, the better for all of us, so that this issue that you are talking about over stretch and visibility and what have you will not even arise.
Okay. Okay, if you're just joining us, the program is This Morning on ITV, and we are speaking with former National Publicity Secretary of the Nigerian Army. He has been the one who had spoken for the Army for years, retired Brigadier General S.K. Usman, and we are looking at agenda for the new Army Chief, as well as tackling insecurity across the country. You know, the nation was in mourning early last week following the death of former Chief of Army Staff, but now we got a new one who is on the block trying to look at the critical areas and how best the Nigerian Army can be well repositioned to serve the country properly going forward here. Now, collaboration with sub-regional army chiefs.
Yeah, before we go on,
okay.
The army has a clear nomenclature.
Director
Army Publicity. So don't confuse it with my new appointment as position as National Publicity Secretary of Alumni Association of the National Institute.
You touched me on that. That's why. Now let's come back now.
Okay.
A sub-regional alliance, because it's very key. Many are saying that, particularly in the Lake Chad region.
It is very important. You have said it, and you couldn't have said it more. And we had seen the benefit, when this government came into being in 2015. The starting point was the president going around the neighboring countries and solicited for their support and cooperation. And on his own part, he gave the desired leadership in terms of contribution to the Lake Chad Basin Commission, to the newly then reconstituted and reinvigorated multinational joint task force. And the issue of trans-border crimes, such as not just the terrorism that we're experiencing, is a collective responsibility. We have seen it, and beyond even the Niger, Chad, Cameroon, even Benin Republic, which seems not to have been disturbed by the insurgency, keyed into it. So it is very important that we keep on enhancing this collaboration with our neighboring countries and to see how best we can make effective use of the multinational joint task force. And also countries like Niger, they belong to the other sub-regional arrangement of Sahel, and they have other Operation Gakam and other things that go in. So with that collaboration, Nigeria could also benefit with that relationship with other countries that our neighboring countries have, particularly the Francophone countries. So it is very important that the multinational joint task force is reinvigorated so that they can collectively be dealing with the security issues. More so, the good thing about the Nigerian military, they have decisively been...
Many thanks for staying with us. The program is still This Morning on ITV.